them do it so far. 22 of them have finished so far. So let's take a little look back at what's happened over the day, starting at 5 o'clock this morning in Eidfjord, but there's a whole lot that has happened in between. Good morning and welcome to Norseman 2018, simply the most extreme triathlon on the face of the earth. My name is Philip O'Connor, this is race general manager Doug Oliver, and together with Spock's family and our crews out in the field, we'll be bringing you all the action throughout the day from this fantastic race.
I'm so excited, so this is going to be a fun journey.
Are you ready to jump off the ferry?
Yeah, I'm going in now, so just to feel the water and head for shore. This is our 6th time we are here in the Norseman Triathlon, yes.
We've been waiting for this for a long time. Woohoo!
There we go, there goes the horn and the race is underway. Norseman 2018, a long, grueling and thrilling day of racing awaits as the swimmers take off there in the dawn in Eidfjord.
Swim times have been getting better and better year by year. So people are really practicing their swim before coming to Eidfjord now. So
there's an immense amount of energy gets expended over this, 1 to 2 hours that they're going to spend in the water, and all of these marginal gains or these small changes that you can make could make a sort of a huge difference. And we are now about 18 minutes into the swim, 3.8 kilometers from the car ferry to the little strand in Eidfjord, which is a transition one point where they'll make the transition. That is Mette Pedersen Moe from Norway there.
of course, and she is also an amazing swimmer.
I'm currently standing in T1 where we're waiting for those first swimmers to appear, and here they are just approaching the little beach here behind me. Lead swimmers out of the water. They might appreciate the scenery as they whiz by, but they'll be focused on, getting out there, getting the bike pacing done, getting some nutrition in them, making sure they're ready for the rest of the race ahead. It looks like they're going to be setting some pretty fast times today.
We were watching Harry Wiltshire there struggling with his lights just a little bit. Cost him a few seconds there at the start of the cycling phase, but we can now see why he needs them.
This is a long day here in Norway. This is a long day in the mountains, and our best athletes, they're going to be thinking about, really pacing that and making sure that they know what they're doing for the day ahead.
This entire bike setup now, what we're looking at here, is going to be perfectly tailored to Harry Wiltshire's frame. So none of this is an accident. So the distance from his hip to the pedal has been carefully calibrated. The same thing for the position of his elbows, the same thing for his helmet. This is all to ensure the maximum power with minimum effort, because he's going to be on this bike now from 5 to 6 hours over 180 kilometers. That is number 23. That is our leader. Down to the short stage now, looking very confident indeed, looking like he's very much enjoying himself out there. The black t-shirt is the holy grail of the triathlon world, right? That means that you were among the 160 racers who finished the Norseman at the top, at Gauss the top.
This is the final section of the old road, so we'll soon get to Vøringsfossen and back onto the main road, and 2 more kilometers, and he will be able to have his first support if he needs it. The rule of thumb is basically you lose 1 degree Celsius for every 100 meters of elevation. Now he's about 200 meters from exiting the old road.
From the old road to the new road there for Harry. I can't see Eirik anywhere in front there. We could see the 2 riders within a few hundred meters of each other a little while ago, but again, it is early days yet. It is. There's still a lot of racing to go. She is on a bit of a gradient there. You could tell her legs are moving just slightly slower there as she makes the switch. There goes one of her bottles, grabbing a bottle as they go along, getting himself streamlined as possible there, tucking the elbows in on the handlebars and building up a fair bit of pace there. That looks like a bit of a downhill stretch there. The temperature will drop as they climb up towards the top of the plateau. We're following Harry Wiltshire there in second place, the British rider, winner of Keltsman. watching our bike riders now undertaking 180 kilometers and then a 42.2 kilometer run to finish.
This is Dyranut. This is where you actually enter the plateau. It's the highest point on the bike course.
This is the highest point on the bike course, and we see Team Ravnan out there. I can tell you the Lodge Christian Volt has also passed the Dyranut in 4th place, 2 minutes and 34 seconds behind Erik Ravnan. So it is starting to tighten up there at the front of the field. Lodge Christian about 33 seconds behind Alan Hovden in 3rd. Harry Wiltshire there in 2nd place. There we go, some of the thrilling action that we have seen since 5 o'clock this morning. 11 hours and 46 minutes since this race started, and it really has been an amazing day of racing. We've just been checking up on our numbers and some of our statistics, and it looks like we could have a clean sweep for one particular triathlon club. It's the Arctic Triathlon Club in Oslo, because Line Marie Langseth is still in with a chance, right? She's about 13 minutes behind Florida College, the British athlete, so they're both on the mountain now, and they might well, like, maybe it's a little bit too late for a final push on there.
I think she'll have a hard time catching up that.
She'll have a hard time catching up there, but we are looking at, is this Team Bob? I think we're around about Team Bob now, are we? There are Team Bob. Who's that now that we see? I know, Dag Fossum there of Norway. The 5th turn on Zombie Hill. And the strategically placed Team Bob are there. Local cycling team, of course, and they put the pep in back in the step of some of these athletes as they make their way along. A real joy to see some real enthusiasm. They stand out there for hours at a time, and the weather doesn't make the slightest difference to them. They're going to be out there supporting the athletes as they come and go. So this is in right about the middle of Zombie Hill here. There's an awful lot of racing there, as we see an Italian flag flying up there. A couple of messages written on the ground there. We can't quite see what they have. That is one of the motorcycles that we have had today. We've had some pretty big motorcycles out there in the course today to be able to bring you as close as possible to the action that we've had. And it has been some fascinating stuff altogether. Dag, I wanted to ask you about... we usually check up on the health. We do a health check on the sport of triathlon in Norway and globally. Between last year and this year, how are things with funding there? How are things with the interest in the sport? How are things going? We've seen some great performances from Norwegian athletes today. Can we expect this improvement to continue, or how do you see it?
I think triathlon is still growing. If you look at the number internationally, it's growing a lot. In the Far East,
yep.
China is just exploding with events and competitors. Same goes for several of other Far Eastern countries.
Yep.
In Europe, it's stable. In the US, it's stable. In South America is growing.
Yep.
I think there is a shift possibly in type of events that you'll see more of the smaller, stranger events like ours, because you have some very large entities like Ironman and Challenge that deliver excellent products in a very large scale, but that also opens up for alternative events.
But for the uninitiated watching this now, I mean, we've had 238 athletes at the start of the race today, right? Standard Ironman race that people are going to have around the world. How many competitors would sign up for that?
That would be 1,500, 2,000, up to 4,000 possibly. Yeah,
you don't really feel the love when you're in a field of maybe 2,000, 3,000 competitors, right?
There are a lot of competitors.
Yeah.
So there's potential for a lot of love. So it's different ways of running a race.
Yeah. But I'm thinking as well that in a race like this, and that's something that's been proved to both of us during the week, where we get people going, how do I get in for next year, right? That there's something special about being among the chosen few, whether it be by the lottery or previous results or Keltman victories or whatever it happens to be. That you get to be part of something that is a little bit exclusive, so to speak. There we are. Team Bob are not being exclusive, and they are definitely sharing the love out on the course there. And it is something that is very, very valuable to the athletes making their way up Zombie Hill. You can't run past Team Bob and not smile. It seems to be the way it goes. So they are out there. They are applauding the athletes as they go along. Almost to the point where that athlete was on his way back out into the middle of the road there to get a smack of a Volvo, but thankfully that didn't happen. Team Bob, I'm not even going to guess what's written there. Team
Bob Svingen.
Oh, so that's Team Bob's curve, yeah. There we go. Brilliant to see Team Bob out there, of course, cyclists. Has anybody from Team Bob ever taken part in the race under the Team Bob banner?
I think they had one of their guys racing last year.
Yeah, I seem to remember that they did, right enough, yeah.
So they're up and coming, I guess.
Yeah, there you go. There's still plenty of time. Of course, Team Bob, regardless of whether they're competing or not, are always very, very welcome indeed. Let's go back to the top of the mountain and see if we have anybody who is preparing to make... We're waiting on Petter Sandelin, who will be the second Swedish athlete to finish, I think. He is down there or thereabouts. Andreas Martinussen of Norway has finished. Hidde Beckhuis, the Dutch athlete we talked to, Hidde's support team a little bit earlier on in the day, is finished. Jens Petter Elton Gransäter has also finished, and the Swiss athlete Michael Ackermann is also there. So we're just waiting on the Swede now. And of course, our third placed athlete in the women's race, Flora College, could become the first podium finisher without any connection to Norway that we know of, because we know that Heini Hartikainen trains in Oslo with the Arctic Triathlon Club. We know that Meta, of course, our winner, is part of the same club as Heini. But we want to see Flora cross the line there to see if we can get some person with no Norwegian influence whatsoever, apart from being one of the participants in the Norseman and being there today. And of course, Petter Sandlin, the Swede there, he's about 5 minutes ahead of Flora, so we should get a pretty good heads up as to when our third placed athlete is coming across there. After that, there is a whole bunch of Norwegians as well, split up only by Jonathan Feddock, the American athlete. There's plenty of racers in the men's race there. And then after that, Line Foss is the next female competitor. She is there or thereabouts. It looks like we might have a finisher. Do we have a finisher coming up there?
Sure, yeah.
Yeah, we can see that looks to be Petter Sandelin, the Swede now. The last few tired strides to make it up there in 25th place overall. Still a hugely creditable result in the top 10% of those who take part in the Norseman. Petter having to rescue one of his support team there. They seem to stumble slightly, but Petter still has the strength to lift him up and walk across with the Swedish flag on his back as he takes 25th place. An hour and 47 minutes after our winner, in a time of 11 hours 53 minutes and 1 second. So that's pretty good going. For under 12 hours is pretty good going. I'm sure he's going to be pretty happy with that. The next athlete we are expecting to cross the line there is Flora College from Great Britain. She's about 6 minutes behind as far as we know. A fairly breathless silence there from Petter Sandlin. Has to go down as one of the great sporting days for Petter as we look at our images. Really is an incredible landscape, incredible weather. That is to the right there. That they are our finishers up there over the last stone steps on Gaustatoppen. Talk about a high point. You can see 1/6 of Norway. You can see Sweden to the east. You can see the Norwegian coast to the south and the west.
On a clear day.
On a clear day. You can probably see most of it today because that cloud is it's actually above Gaustatoppen for once. But it really is amazing that you can stand there and look at Gaustatoppen from a distance and see how quickly it changes. The cloud just sort of falls in there. Almost looks like a scene from the Lord of the Rings here. With the sun streaming down through the clouds. Is this about to start? Performance. Really, really spectacular images there. I just hope the weather doesn't change now, because that drone, we don't want to get that stuck up in the air. We'll stay with these images for the time being, but I can tell you that Richard from Zwift has rejoined me in the studio. And there's another Norseman race to get just about to get underway in about 4 minutes' time on Zwift. So if you're a Zwift subscriber and you're sitting out there and you're getting inspired by this and you want to take part in a race, you want to get ready for next year's Norseman, get up on your simulator there. And it really is time to have a good crack at that, because there's 4 minutes left to register for this race. How many competitors have we got signed up for this one that's just about to start, Richard?
Well, looking at the start pen here, we've got 74 competitors in the start pen. We've had well over 100 competitors in each of the first 3 races. This is the fourth one, the final one of the day. This one, we've tried to time them for different time zones around the world. This one probably suits the US more than other regions. We've had the sort of Australasian, Southern Hemisphere regions, and now Europe, and now we're moving further west as we go through the day. So we're up to 80 now. Hopefully we'll tick over the 100 before the start.
Yeah, there's plenty of people signing up out there, and if you do have access to Zwift, even if you don't have access to Zwift, if you have access to the technology, go in, sign up, have a look at it, test it out. We spent most of the week in the office here having a look at it, and it really is an amazing piece of software, because it's as close as you're going to get to these fantastic bike rides that we've seen in various triathlons around the world, stages of the Tour de France, the Giro d'Italia, this kind of thing. And it really is a tremendous way to train, because if you have a screen in front of you, if you've any sort of a big screen or an iPad screen or a computer screen, it really is just like being there, with the advantage of not getting wet.
Exactly right. It's it's not weather dependent. You can just it's very time efficient. You just jump on the trainer and away you go. And you're riding with people. It's very social. You can message people while you're riding. It's fantastic. And there's a whole new breed of equipment being released in the last few years, smart trainers that actually change resistance as you go up and down hills. So the experience these guys are getting on their bikes, the guys and girls racing these races, it's as close to riding outside as it's possible to get without getting wet and cold.
There you go. What we are looking at here is the start line of the race, and it's going to be getting underway in about 2 minutes' time. Is it possible to join after the race has started, or is that just not the done thing?
It's not in races. In group workouts or social rides, we have a feature called Late Join, where people can if for one reason or another they arrive late, they can join. But in a race like this, we the cutoff is the start time. So just to explain here what we're looking at. This is a start pen on the island. It's a fictional island with we've got 4 very decent climbs in this ride, and everyone is just warming up on the start pen here.
Just let me interrupt you there for 1 second, because we have our third place racer. This is Flora College from the United Kingdom. A little slip there from her support team, but she's as sure-footed as a mounted goat as she makes her way up the final stone steps there. The end of her race is going to coincide with the start of the Zwift race, but Flora still looking strong. She's held off the challenge of Lena Marie Langseth, and she is going to take, that isn't her at all. We thought it was her, but it isn't. It appears to be Sebastian Torres, the Norwegian, who has passed her out. So we thought that we had Flora College there, the British athlete, but Sebastian Torres is the man who crossed the line there. Yeah, and a fantastic time for Sebastian. So he has actually taken her over. And he's pretty worn out as we are back here at the start of one of these 4 Norseman races that has been held today on Zwift. We will keep an eye on the other screens as we go along, because we want to see Flora cross that line. We're about 30 seconds left to go. Are there any notable cyclists taking part in this race? Any names that might have stuck out there for you?
I haven't seen anyone in this race that I know, but it's hard to tell until they actually get going, and we'll see who goes into the lead, and once the race gets going, they pretty much have got about a kilometre before they hit the first hill, and it starts off with, I would say, a hill. We've got 7 seconds to go there, but graduates up to the further they go, the bigger the climb. So here we go, we're away, and at that point, when the gun goes, they're released away from their trainers, and off they go. So we've got what have we got? Yeah, we've got 110 riders in this group, so we've had well over 100 in each race.
And there we go. After the false alarm a couple of minutes ago, we have Flora College coming up towards the finish line now. striding up there. Maybe not as much bounce in her step as Sebastian Torres a little while ago, but she is going to take a place on the podium all the same. Worn out. You can just see it in her face there. The big smile breaks out now, but it's about all the energy she has left has gone into that. Incredible, really, when you think of the standard of women's athletes that are out there today. She closes her eyes. She doesn't look like she wants anybody to mention the word Norseman ever again for the time being, but give her a little while, she's going to recover.
She actually won Swissman earlier this year.
There you go.
So she likes the tough races.
She most certainly does. It'll be interesting to hear from her now as well, because we spoke a little bit earlier on about, especially with the cycling descents here, how the experience of having done it once is the kind of thing that makes all the difference. We're now back in the virtual race now that is on Zwift at the moment, in the name of Norseman here, on an island that has been created especially for this race, according to Richard there. So,
well, the island exists, but we can change the course and change the route within the island, and we chose specifically the toughest route we could find on the island. So the feedback we've had from the athletes racing today is that it's definitely been an extreme test. There's been a lot of messages, and most of them have been saying how tough it was. So which is rightly so. We wanted to make it a difficult challenge, and we can see here, just scrolling through, we're up into 28th, 29th place. These guys are putting out at the moment around 4 watts per kilo, just over that to get into the top 20. So that's pretty solid riding with 3 or 4 hours of riding still to come. Yeah,
that's a pretty decent power generation right enough. 3 or 4 hours of a race there. This is Zwift. This is a virtual race that we're watching here. We will be back out on the course at Norseman very, very soon. We've just seen our third place female competitor come across the line there. That was Flora College. She finished in a time of just over 12 hours. 12 hours and 27 seconds since she set off this morning. Richard, we're going to say thanks very much indeed for joining us today. We're going to try to follow the fourth race. We may have you back in the studio a little bit later on, but we're going to try to get ourselves back out onto the course now at this point in time, because we were looking forward to an interview there with the wonderful Helen Webster, if she has managed to fly in Flora College, but maybe we don't have that just yet. No, as yet we don't have that. In terms of, you were checking out some of the statistics and that kind of thing, Richard, as you went along there, for some of the races that were out there. You just mentioned that Flora won Swissman a little bit earlier on today. Your own overall impression of the race today and what you've seen whilst you were watching outside?
Yeah, it's been incredible to see again the Norwegian domination. I think that was something I experienced when I was here in 2008. That it's just a testament to what an outdoors adventure focused country Norway is, and to see particularly on the men's side, the race there was so exciting, and you know, Harry Wiltshire's a very, very good athlete. He's finished top 20 at Kona, so to have those guys beat him fair and square here today was it just shows how strong they are. And it's also been pleasing. You know, at one point it looked like it was going to be a fairly easy day in inverted commas in terms of the weather, but the weather closed in and gave us some rain and misty shots that you always like to see at Norseman.
Yeah, it is an incredibly tough course, and of course I really enjoyed the honesty of Harry in his interview. He said, look, I just blew it out completely, you know, and he tried to sort of take the challenge that the guys put down, especially on the bike, and it just didn't work out. And again, coming to sort of Zombie Hill and that kind of thing, there is seemingly, and you've done this course before, you've done it once, right? Once, yeah. Right? So knowing those descents and that kind of thing, it did seem to make a huge difference to Alan and to Lars Christian.
I think it made a difference, and it also what I noticed watching Alan was, as tired as he looked on Zombie Hill, he kept running. He never stopped running, and at times it looked almost like it would be quicker to walk for him. He was struggling on the hill there, but I think that's where just that mental strength kicks in, and just keep moving forward. And it was incredible to watch.
That is exactly what we are watching here as competitor number 3 there. Looks like he's putting in plenty of mental strength into keeping going here. Of course, they're running a little bit, they're jogging a little bit, and then they are walking. No, that was number 3 rather than number 13 there. Plenty of Norwegian competitors out there, but a third of the field, and of course they're finishing pretty high up there. There we have another one who has decided to slow down for the time being. conserving a little bit of energy. Of course, Zombie Hill there, it really does take it out of the legs completely. And I mean, it's in a way, it's almost as much mental as it is physical, because it's kind of demoralizing to have to keep going after 26 odd K and all of a sudden you're into Zombie Hill. So
I think so. I think Zombie Hill, if anything, probably takes people by surprise. Everyone knows the mountains there, and everyone knows how hard that is. But Zombie Hill is it's just it goes on forever. It's about 1,000 meters of climb, and just constant switchbacks, and it just never seems to end. So yeah, it's tough for sure.
It is certainly tough going. Richard, I'm going to let you get back to the Zwift race there, because I'm sure you want to know what's going on there. We might call you back into the studio a little bit later on. Thank you very much indeed. I'm just going to grab this cable again now as we watch what's happening. We have another finisher heading towards the finish line up there at Gaustatoppen. Plenty of encouragement, plenty of... Is this Håkan Andersson who is making his way up? It is indeed Håkan Andersson, number 208, who is making his way up the top for the very last time today. And there is the support team coming after him. There may indeed be another athlete. Tommy Jonsson is not too far away either. So Tommy was about 20 seconds behind. So this is part of a wave of Norwegians who are coming in now towards the end of the line. And that looks like Tommy there right enough. And after that, Jørund Vala is also on the way up there. So they're coming thick and fast to the top of the mountain now. That crossing of the line there, that reaching down to stop the watch, that is worth an Olympic gold medal. It is worth so much in terms of what these athletes set out to do today. Whether or not they reach their goal, whether or not they reach the position or the time that they wanted to do. Jørund Vala. Great to hear the encouragement of the athletes that have already finished. They fill their lungs once more and cheer their compatriots, their friends, their competitors as they cross the line there. There are 3 more Norwegian athletes due, then an American, and then 3 more Norwegians after that. So it's quite a bunch of Norwegians there finishing up using their local knowledge to make the most of this course. Just looking around there to see if Flora College is still on the mountain. It would be great to hear Helen Webster talking to her now. I'm not sure if she's done it already and we're saving that for later. We might see if we can get a chat with her though. Flora, of course, the first podium finisher today, or the only podium finisher today, who doesn't have a connection to Norway as far as we know. The rest, we've had 4 Norwegians and 1 Finn who trains with an Oslo Triathlon Club as we go back down onto Zombie Hill. The weather's not too bad down there now, so the showers of hail and everything else that greeted us earlier on are gone. I think we just saw Rasmus Lindhardt Birkelid on the mountain. We're now back down on Zombie Hill. So we're trying to find out where the cutoff point is here. If you've been listening all day, or if you've seen this race before, you will know that the top 160 athletes get to finish at the top of the mountain. They get to conquer Gaustatoppen. And as a souvenir for that, they get the black t-shirt. The other, 78 odd athletes who've taken part here today. We had 238 who made it to the start line. They will finish at Gaustablikk, at the hotel there instead. They'll go exactly the same distance, but they just won't get to climb the mountain at the very, very end, and that is for safety reasons. So, T-shirt 157, 158, 159, 160, they are really going to be battled for. So that's what we're looking for at the moment, is to find out where those athletes are and to see where that battle is ongoing, to see who looks like taking the black T-shirt and who looks like they're running out of steam. Some of the names are around those positions at the moment. Albert Ode Nyhuis from Denmark is in 157th place. Christine Vindenes of Norway in 158th. Andreas Park, Norway, 159th. Arne Aspavoll of Norway is in 160th. Just out of there, 161, Hårek Stronheim, one of the originals, just outside the black t-shirt stage now. That's where he is at the moment. Andreas Barstad is just outside as well. But I can tell you that Hårek Stronheim is only... is that 37 seconds away from the black t-shirt. So he's 37 seconds behind Arne Aspavoll in the race for that black t-shirt out there. So it's all hotting up in the middle of the pack. Still a pretty fair system, because over half the athletes who take part in the race will be part of that 160. Now we see them back walking on Zombie Hill again. Getting really tough out there. There's a bottle of a soft drink there as we go along as well. Who is that? That is athlete number 190. That is Johannes Baylor from Germany out there on the course. Taking it pretty easy there on Zombie Hill. This is not just a huge physical challenge, but it's also a chance to recover. Johannes is there in position 133, if I read that correctly. Yes, Johannes Baylor from Germany, reasonably safe in terms of winning the black t-shirt, getting up there onto the mountain, but you got to keep going, because if you don't keep going, you're going to get caught, you're going to get swallowed up by the rest of the field. Some more walkers out there enjoying themselves, a few bright smiles, and waving back up on the mountain. We have... I think we may have another. Is that Lina?
46.
That is Line Marie Langseth, the Norwegian, to come in fourth place, bouncing up the last few steps. Not too much spring in her step, but enough to take her to the very top of the mountain in fourth position. Down on her hands and knees as soon as she crosses the finish line, as soon as the clock stops. And it stopped on 12 hours, 12 minutes and 1 second. There is not a whole lot left there. Talk about leaving it all out on the course. It really is amazing what these athletes put themselves through, and it is an absolute privilege that to bring this race to you together with the production team from Spock's family, with Triathlon 220 and the wonderful Helen Webster out there. But it's absolutely amazing to see what they're capable of. You got to think that Line Marie Langseth was finished a long time ago, that her race ended 5, 10, 15 kilometers ago, and yet she would not give up. She wanted to make it to the top of that mountain, and she made it. Lying curled up now on the cold, damp stones. It may not feel like much of a victory, but she came in 32nd place overall of 238 athletes. Out on the course is Andreas Park. Andreas is one of those who is hanging around there at the 160 cutoff point. I wonder if he's not right on the cutoff point there. Andreas is 159th at the moment, right? 159th. So, and right behind him, right behind Andreas Park, is Arne Aspavoll, who is in 160th place. Yeah. And I'm seeing somebody trotting along behind him. I'm going to guess that that is the support person that he had. So these two guys are the last two guys. If everything should stay as it is and nobody else passes them out, these two guys will get the last two black t-shirts on offer at Norseman 2018. But there are no guarantees here, none whatsoever. Hårek Stronheim is a proud man doing, I think, his 10th Norseman. He is around there maybe 20, 30 seconds away the last time we checked, and he's going to want to catch up on these guys. They're on Zombie Hill. They're around about the third turn there. Well, they passed the third turn. They're on their way towards the fourth turn here. A series of selection of hairpin bends there. And back in the distance, I could see a white t-shirt. Very, very briefly there, I saw a white t-shirt. And that means that either Hårek Stronheim or Andreas Barstad is there or thereabouts. They are lurking. They are looking for their opportunity. Now, the question is whether or not these two gents know that they are right on the cusp, that they can get the black t-shirt if they want it, but they've got to want it more than what Horek and Andreas and Sölve and Vivian and June do. Violetta Dialatara from Greece is just in 166th position just now in the women's race. She is in 20th position there. She would very much like to bring one of the black t-shirts home to Greece. As we turn the corner now, if this could very well be the fourth corner that we're going around here. We have lost our pictures there. Yeah, so I'm sure Violetta, we had a lot of support for Violetta on social media a little bit earlier on. Plenty of people watching in Greece. She's 166th place right now, so she's about 5 minutes off the leaders there, who are looking like they're in with a shout of winning the black t-shirt. The top 160 get to do that. We positioned our camera in the corner now. We're just waiting to see who comes around there, because things are slowing down just a little bit down there. We can see a couple of cyclists out on the course as well. Some are out there to enjoy themselves and just to follow the action as closely as they possibly can. Of course, we're on public roads here in Norway, so they're well within their rights to do so. Of course, most people will be reasonably respectful and keep their distance. So at the fourth turn there, we have Arne Aspavoll, who has just turned the fourth corner on Zombie Hill in a time of, let me see, he's 25 seconds ahead of Andreas Park. So it's very, very close together there. 2:77 is Andreas Park. So he is the last of the t-shirt wearers there now. Or the last of the black t-shirt, the last of the people in with a shout of the black t-shirt. As you can see, it's quite steep there. You're not going to see too many people making a run for it at this point in time, as we see a stream of cars moving away from Gaustatoppen. Yeah, you reckon that the message is after reaching Andreas Park now, as he breaks into a little bit of a light jog again, but whoever's behind him, and I think it is Arne Aspavoll, is trying to keep up with him. They don't want to be last. They don't want to be hanging out there as a target, with a target on their back for the other athletes behind them. It is 2:71. It is Arne Aspavoll. That was a short-lived little sprint there, though. Neither man has looked over their shoulder just yet, so they're not really sure what's going on behind them, but they appear to be relatively confident so far. We are 12 hours and 17 minutes into the Norseman 2018. We have seen the podium decided in the men's race. We have seen the podium decided in the women's race, but there are still, let me see, there's still so many t-shirts left to play for out there. At this stage in the race, we have had, let me see, 32 finishers, the last of which we saw there was Lena Marie Langseth, as she fell on her hands and knees going across the finish line at the top at Gaustatoppen. And now the guys are going again, determined to keep the distance between them and the rest of the field and get themselves that black t-shirt. Of course, our camera car here is a little bit limited because they can't drive on the far side of the road, so we can't really get an angle that will tell us how close the nearest challengers are to them. Our timing system might tell us what is happening there. And our timing system tells us at the moment that Horek Stronheim still hasn't passed by the fourth turn at Zombie Hill. So him, Andreas Barstad, Sölve Robstad, they still have plenty of time there. You know, they can still sort of pick up the pace just a little bit and make it up there. There's still a lot of the race left to go for these guys. And indeed, it looks to me like they are catching up on somebody there. Who is that? Is that that could well be Pierre Bourret of France there that they're catching up on? No, it's Sandy Holt from the United States of America, number 39. Seems to have slowed down somewhat there, Sandy. Yeah, they're just passing Sandy by now, so Sandy seems to slow down somewhat. But in fairness, everybody seems to have slowed down somewhat on this part of Zombie Hill. Really, really tough part of the course. Richard was in here telling us about his experience of running the race. I think it was in 2008. And he said that Zombie Hill surprises everyone. You know about it and that kind of thing, but it's only really when you get out there and you try to do it at this late stage in a very, very long race. The race in total, 226 kilometers. Still quite a distance left to go, but this is what surprises people. It's the angle of it, it's the weather, it's the heat, it's the exhaustion, it's the energy expended and everything left behind out on the course there that makes it so difficult. There is quite a few athletes there together. I'm sure we have Andreas catching up now on Snorre Gunnar Shaw, Alberto Neuhuis from Holland there. You can see the tight hairpin turns that are what makes Zombie Hill so special. And now it's getting a little bit tighter here. Horik Stronheim is falling away just a little bit. He's made his way around the fourth turn on Zombie Hill. And this is really, really tough because Andreas Barstad is now up into 164th position. Arne Aspevall in 159th. Arne Aspevall is now in 160th position now. So Andreas Park has made his way up to 158th. Andreas Barstad just outside the reckoning now, so it's getting really, really tight there in terms of the battle for these black t-shirts. And there's very, very little energy there. There's energy for a few steps, a few meters, 10, 20, 50 meters, and then the energy is over. It doesn't work anymore. And they have to rest again. They have to go walking again. You can see the hands on the hips there. Needs to lean back a little more, get a little bit more air into the lungs. Of course, as Susanne was saying, Susanne from Nimi, who was here a little bit earlier on, fighting it deep. The reserves of these athletes are very, very deep, but they're not infinite. See, back up in the mountain now, we're looking like we may have another finisher out there, but this is where the drama is. We're hoping now to be able to wave these bigger cars and vans by so that we can follow this part of the race. We have 134 athletes who have passed the 32.5 kilometer cutoff. The 32.5 kilometer cutoff is important because that is where they go. If they're going to make the black t-shirt, that's where it's decided. Once they get past there, all they have to do to get to the top is get to the top. If you're 160th passing by there, you just got to keep going. And you got all the time in the world you can get up there. So unless for safety reasons, the race has to be called off. But that's where they're headed for. So gradually, slowly but surely, the athletes, and there's quite a few shifts between 136 and 160 happening. So racers are passing each other out and that kind of thing. There's about, let me see, 10, 12, 15 minutes to go as they pass by each other. But they really need to get from the fifth turn on Zombie Hill. They need to get up to that cutoff at 32.5 kilometers. That's the next big goal that they have here. We're just polishing off the lens now. We're going to move our camera a little bit as well. So the real battle is on now to make it to that 32.5 kilometer cutoff point. Still 10 kilometers or a shade under 10 kilometers left to go at that point. But once you get there, that's pretty much guaranteed your black t-shirt. Unless something catastrophic happens on the mountain or unless some serious breach of the rules happens there, then you're guaranteed. We may just go back to our camera on the mountain because it looks to me like one of the support staff was making their way up there. I saw a white t-shirt passing by there. There's a couple of white t-shirts coming there. That usually suggests if they have a backpack that we have a couple of athletes on their way up there. I'm going to see if I can work out from the timing where they are. We have the Norwegian athlete Vebjørn Hånes Egge has passed the finish line. Line Foss in 34th position. Jonathan Fedok, the American athlete there. Rulevski Evgeny running under the flag of Norway. Narve Liebek is there. Even Shiodera is there. And Erik Andersen is there or thereabouts. All approaching the top of the mountain now. There's so little energy left. The spring, the bounce that we saw them, the backflips that we saw off the car ferry in Eidfjord early this morning, just before 5 o'clock. There's very little of that left. There's a different kind of enthusiasm now, because this is where you beat your own demons and you force yourself to put one foot in front of the other over these last few stone steps up to Gaustatoppen. Often it can just be the words of encouragement from the support team that are the difference between laying down and giving up and making it all the way to the top of the mountain. There you go, can't quite see who that is. There'll be a bib number popping up soon. Is that 146? That looks like Narve Lübeck. 146 is Narve Lübeck, and I'd be kind of surprised if it was, though. It is, yeah, if it is 146 Narve Lübeck, that would be fascinating, because that would mean that Narve has passed out a few people along the mountain. It is indeed Narve Lübeck. Narve sort of leapfrogged over Line Foss, Jonathan Fedok, Krylewski, Evgeny. So over that last few meters, Narve went up to place number 34 from about 38th position there. So that's a really huge performance from Narve on the mountain. And we saw Narve earlier on Zombie Hill. Narve was full of smiles, especially going past Team Bob there, getting that little bit of encouragement. Seems to have given Narve a little bit of a lift there to take 30th position in the men's race. So that's really superb. I think we're looking at either Line Foss, that is probably Line Foss now coming towards the finish line, 5th in the women's race. Line feeling no pressure there. Andrea Jochims is coming up behind her, but she's still some distance away, maybe 3-4 minutes away. So Line can afford to take it easy as she comes up towards the finish line. And is that number 28? If it is number 28, is Evan Chiodera. As we look at the drone footage of the top of the mountain there. Okay. Is that a husband and wife team I see crossing the line there? So that would be Line Foss and Evan Chiodera crossing the line there, the two Norwegians. Line takes 5th place in the women's race, and Evan takes 31st place in the men's race, and they both get a lovely pink blanket for their troubles. It'd be great if our reporter Helen Webster is still up on the mountain. I'm not sure she's still there. Yeah, she is heading back down towards the 32k cutoff, so she's not still there. Would have been great to hear from the man and wife up there as we see Jonathan Fedok, the American athlete, coming across the line there to take 32nd place in the men's race. A time 12 hours, around about 27 minutes, I think, there for Jonathan. Is Jonathan one of our regular triathletes, or is he? Was he brought in via the lottery? Can you remember, or was he one of the performers? His start number is 185. He is through the lottery, so that's a pretty good performance from the American athlete there. The 32nd position in the men's race there in the time of 12 hours, 27 minutes and 38 seconds. We're hearing plenty of cheering there back at the finish line. If we go back to the finish line cam, we will see another finisher coming in there. I'm going to guess this is this Andrea? It's not Andrea, no. Could be Erik Andersen who's after crossing the line there. Rulewski, now it's Rulewski. Evgeny Rulewski has just crossed the line there. Rulewski passed out by a few of the athletes on the way there. He was a little bit better there. Nikolai Klamer-Smith has also crossed the line. Erik Andersen and Andrea Jochims are not too far away now either. So it's a real tight bunch that's coming up there. We're up to our 39th. We'll soon see our 40th finisher cross the line there. I can tell you that 143 of our athletes have passed the 32.5k cutoff. Trond Blomberg of Norway was the 143rd. Laura Malcolm of the United States of America is there. And João Pombinho of Portugal. I think that's the first time I've mentioned a Portuguese athlete today. Of course, we see Charlie Brooks there. Remy Peyre from France. Rob van der Post from Canada. Kanat Kelsin-Bikov is also across the line there, so we're starting to see a real mix there. And in the top 160, I'm seeing Ariel Heller and Yoram Levov, two Israeli athletes who appear to be within about 8 or 10 seconds of each other there as well. So we're starting to see the real international influence coming here among the Norwegians. Zhenhan Yu is there as well. Is that? I wonder what nation that is. It seems to be nationality there. There's certainly Chinese writing. I'm not sure if it's Chinese Tibet. It's certainly not a Chinese flag that we have there. But yeah, 143 athletes have passed the 32.5 kilometer cutoff. That means that there are 17 black t-shirts left, if I'm not mistaken. We are looking down at Sandy Holt. Sandy Holt is right on the edge now. No, that is Snorre Gunnar Shaw. I'm not sure I'm pronouncing that entirely correctly. My Norwegian is suffering a little bit, but at 157th spot, he's right on the cusp there. Could be a little bit in danger. Sandy Holt is in 159th. Arne Asvold, 160th. Andreas Barstad in 161st. We can see Andreas Park has made his way up to 158th place. There's about 3 minutes between Arne Aspevold in 160th place and Andreas Barstad in 161st. So it's a big ask in terms of how much is left. How far is there? And Arne Aspevold has just passed on to the... It's just passed by the 32.5 kilometer cutoff. So Arne is definitely making a run up the leaderboard there. So as I read it at the moment now, we have about 7 black t-shirts left. We have Jone Ove, no, sorry, not Odd Heine Pedersen, sorry. Christine Vindenes is up in 155th place. Eric Rowe, the American, looks like he could well take the next post, but he doesn't. It's the Dutchman Albert Ude Niehuis who has taken the 156th. So now we're down to just 4 black t-shirts left to go. Eric Rowe takes one of them, 157th place. It's getting really, really tight at the top as we see who's crossing the line there. Number 85. That is Andrea Jochems finally crossing the line there. She doesn't know whether to laugh or cry. Is that Timothy Williams? I don't think Timothy Williams was 85. No, that was Andrea Jochems who has crossed the line there right enough. Looking pretty exhausted there. Back down the field, Eric Rowe has crossed the 35 or the 32.5k. So we have a couple of t-shirts left to go. Andrea there, worn out at the top. At the 32.5k, we have rushed down there with Helen Webster, and her reporting team is down there. I can tell you that Andreas Spock has also passed the 32.5k. So hopefully Helen will turn up there very, very soon indeed. This is further back. This is down the field a little bit. Is that Snorre? Snorre is passing Team Bob right now, so that's quite close to the 32.5, right? So Team Bob are just before that, and you can hear the cowbells ringing. The lads are still very excited. Snorre is going to possibly take, I can't see anybody that close to him. So he looks like he's going to take the 159th black t-shirt of 160 on offer. Sandy Holt has crossed it, so Sandy Holt takes the 159th black t-shirt on offer. Snorri, you're going to have to get your running shoes on here. As they divert the traffic out of Snorri's way. Poor old Snorri is not capable of diverting himself, so they're diverting the traffic out of his way there. A fairly resolute stride there from Snorri, despite his tiredness. Sandy Holt, the American, was on the cusp there for quite some time, but she's managed to grab her jersey, her black t-shirt. She's 18th in the female race at the moment. Superb performance there by the American. Had a great swim this morning and a really excellent performance on the bike. The run has really demanded its pound of flesh from many of these athletes. Zombie Hill once again proving it's not just a myth, it really is an absolutely punishing part of the course. We're pulling back the camera to see. Snorri is being shown towards the 32.5 kilometer cutoff. He made it. It'll become official when he passes. And according to the timing information that we have, Snorri will be the last person to pass that. So that gate, and there he goes past it. Snorri Gunnarsson is the last person to pass by there. And if the rules that Dag Oliver have told me are correct, that gate will now close, Dag. That's what we've seen. We've seen 160 athletes pass by there, or certainly the timing system has seen 160 athletes pass by there, and I am never a man to argue with the timing system. That said, I'm never a man to argue with Toril, our race director, either. We can see the way that the cars are stopped there. They are support cars by the looks of things, right? Certainly the one with the yellow sticker on the front there is a support car. So what's the difference now between the route? Okay, because they've gone up Zombie Hill, they're not going to go up the mountain, but they still have to get up to Gaustablik. Yep. Yeah. You mentioned. Yeah, but they're currently at 1,000 meters of elevation. So the gradient thing now, that disappears for them. So they're pretty much at the straight and narrow after this. To be honest, I don't know how happy I would be if I was Andreas Baystad, because he gets a milder, nicer finish, maybe even a faster finish on occasion if he was to do it. But that's going to be extremely disheartening for poor old Andreas Baystad, who's going to come in 161st position, just missing out on the fabled black t-shirt that everybody in the sport of triathlon wants from the Norseman when they set out. Here we go, our car moving away now, and I would presume that this is the route towards Gaustablik now that... Yeah, we can see down to the left, that is the car park there, down to the left where we have most of the support team and their cars and that kind of thing would all be down there. That is the race organisers. And indeed, somewhere down there, we're just waiting for confirmation from race director Toril that is it. The 160 racers have made it. We're just wondering if we're going to get that at all. We might go and just have a quick look at the leaderboard here. So we'll just... Helen is there. We have Helen Webster who's down there at the 32.5 kilometre cutoff, and we're going to see if she can confirm that for us with the race director. And indeed, she might even see if somebody is passing by there. You can hear a round of applause there. I'm presuming that's for an athlete. No, there is another gentleman going by there and heading up towards the mountain. Andreas shaking his head there. Was that Toril he was talking to? I didn't quite see. It looks like, have they broken to the news to Andreas that he's not going to continue? Unfortunately, his race will not finish this time around on the top of the mountain. Do you know?
What to say? I tried as hard as it can. The field today was just too fast for me. And nobody can say that I didn't try at it. I did, but now it's finished. So now I'm going to look easier. Okay.
It has been a really fast race today, and I look at the quality of the field today has been phenomenal. And it's a tough race. This is your first time here.
No, I've been here once before in 2009, but that was before the last 60 kilometers. So it was nice at that time. But we have been fighting from all the running.
Not quite hearing what Andreas is saying there. Unfortunately, we have a little bit of a problem with the sound there. But I did hear him say that he tried as hard as he could and he just came up a tiny bit short today. You can see the disappointment. You don't need to hear what he's saying to understand the disappointment there. The race director, Thoro, taking him off to one side and saying, Andreas, this is not your day. Doug, Andreas is somebody that you know. Do you know if he's ever had a black T-shirt from...
I'm actually trying to remember. He's done Norseman a couple of times before, at least once.
Yep.
I'm quite sure he does have a T-shirt back then.
We live in hope because that may well soften the blow of having the white T-shirt to complete his collection this time around. It may seem like cold comfort at this point in time. So, but he will get his white T-shirt. He will continue on there. We're hearing Helen there, or we're seeing Helen. We're not quite hearing what she has to say, unfortunately. There you go, Helen saying it's a brutal, brutal marathon. It made slightly easier now by the fact that he's going to complete the rest of it on the flat. It's been a difficult, a tough day. You could see when he was given the news there, like Andreas was pretty crushed. He was sort of trying to keep a straight face together, talking to our race director, Toro, and but he was a little bit disappointed that he wasn't going to get to finish his race at the top of the mountain. So I can tell you that since then, we've had a few others who have passed by. Sølve Robstad, Vivian Skeie, Horek Stronheim, one of the originals.
He's the Norseman founder.
The Norseman founder, unfortunately, 164th position. I mean, that really will be tough. But I'm sure Horek, if he was one of the first finishers, he probably would have got that at some point.
This is his 10th Norseman, and he's got a collection where the majority of the shirts are black.
There you go. So he probably has one for every day of the week if he wants them.
Exactly.
Will still be disappointing right enough for any athlete who's in there. Jone Ove, another Norwegian athlete. Actually, I'm just looking at it. The 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 from 161 to 165, all Norwegian athletes there. Violetta Dialatara from Greece is unfortunately not going to get a black T-shirt this time around. Great performance by the female athletes from Greece today. She's currently in 166th position, so she's put in a wonderful performance here today. And who knows? We're hoping that maybe when she has the experience of this race, she's done the descents and that kind of thing, the really, really quick descents on the bike, that maybe she might be able to take what she's learned and bring it back again next year if she's lucky enough to get a place and maybe make it to the black T-shirt end of things there. So an incredible day's racing. It's ended in joy and it's ended in elation for some. It's ended in a little bit of disappointment for others, and for still others it hasn't ended at all. About what time would you expect the final finishers to get in at to Gaustablik later on this evening?
Usually it's around midnight, plus minus an hour.
So that's pretty tough. We've had good weather conditions today, so we're going to go on the safe side and say sometime between 11 o'clock and midnight tonight. They have been out in the field racing now. It's now 5:45 Central European time. We've been on the air now for, 12 hours and 44 minutes, and you still expect another maybe 5 to 6 hours for some of our racers out there, yeah?
Yeah.
We might actually see if we can bring up, in a second, I'm going to see if I can bring up the live map and see if we can see where our athletes are. So if we can go to the computer there, we might try to zoom in a little and move over. We can see that most of our athletes are past. They all kind of look like they are sort of gathered in one place here. There isn't too many that are still stuck out along the course as we scroll there. But of course, you're talking about Zombie Hill. You're talking about a really, really tough part of the course to make it through. We're also looking at average times here, so there may be some representations that we're not actually seeing of some of the athletes who are further down the course.
Yeah, right now it looks really, really good. But
Yep.
and we can also tell by the times at the 32.5 cutoff that the times are fast, because we say first 160 or 14 hours and 30 minutes, and,
Yep.
and we're still just at 12 hours and 40 minutes
We are-
into the race time.
We're well within that. We are going to see if we can go back out to Helen Webster. I think we managed to fix the microphone back out there. Either that or we can go to the top of the mountain where I can still see some athletes finishing there. Not quite sure who passed the line last time there. But there we see another athlete in absolute exhaustion. It looks like Morgan Hovden there, finishing 42nd in the men's race. There is a picture of relief if ever there was one. Might be a little while before Morgan moves out of there. Morgan gingerly getting back to his legs. Back up on his feet, requiring a little bit of help there from the support team to make it. As well he should after 226 kilometres. And as he lifts himself up, we see Wouter Cousimon of Belgium, who will be our first Belgian finisher that we're seeing there, curled up on the ground. And we need to get a bit of Norwegian hospitality in there with a blanket. Maybe something popped under his head for a second or two until he can find the use for himself again. Frank Løke is also there, another Norwegian who has finished the race in the meantime. That's 50 finishers. Frank becomes our 50th finisher in the race.
So Andreas, that came 160 or 161, he got his black shirt in 2009.
That will make me sleep a little bit easier this evening. So I feel sorry for him being sort of shipped off there by Thoril, but that will make me sleep just that little bit easier this evening. We are hoping to go back over to Helen Webster out in the field. She's at the 32.5 kilometre cutoff in the Isklar Norseman Triathlon. We had a little bit of a problem with our microphone earlier on, so we missed the interview that we wanted to get with Andreas, which was a little bit disappointing. But let's go and talk to her now.
On the race, and as we've just said, this is the point at which it's decided whether you get the white or the black t-shirt, whether you continue up to Mount Gaustertoppen, which was the kind of craggy mountain we were just at, or whether you go and get the white finish, which I'm saying is no less of an achievement, because this has got to be one of the most brutal races I have ever seen. So we're going to try and grab our race director and have a quick word. She's just talking to someone at the moment. Obviously, race director, she's got a lot to worry about today, a lot on her plate, so she's kind of busy. So we'll just see if we can grab her in a moment. I don't know if the sound translated, but we just interviewed the first team that went through to do the white finish. That's team number 161. And they were pretty kind of, well, they were disappointed, obviously, but they were feeling pretty good about the rest of the run ahead. They were going to walk, chill out some, just kind of enjoy the experience. And I promised I'd meet them for a beer at the finish. So, you know, they were still in for kind of quite a lot of running, and there was obviously disappointment there. But like we've said to them, getting that white T-shirt is still an absolutely amazing achievement. So while we wait for touring to kind of get free and chat to us, maybe we'll just have a quick look at this aid station here and just see what the guys are doing. So this is obviously one of the big checkpoints on the race. This is where they check races in and out. And it looks like we've got some drinks here and some candy, some fruit, crisps if people need something savoury, some other bits and bobs just to take on some hydration. And as we know, Norseman is a self-supported race, so everyone that's coming through here has got a support team who are going to be looking after them. Those vans are full of nutrition, they've got their nutrition plan worked out, they've got the warm clothing in those vans, those cars. But actually, if they need something a little bit extra, and these checkpoints sometimes where people do need to kind of stop and collect themselves just for a moment, and especially if they're getting hard news, like being told that they're going to go for the white T-shirt rather than the black T-shirt finish at the top of the mountain, then sometimes it's quite nice just to kind of stop for a moment and have a fresh drink and a bit of fruit. So we've got an athlete here. Do you have a few words for Norseman Live? How is your race going?
It's going fine. I'm going to start finishing now. I'm going this way. It's a nice race. You know, it had everything. Not snow. Not snow. But it was a little bit sunny, a little bit rainy, a little bit cloudy. It had everything.
We had hail on the top, but no hail down here.
Yes.
Yes. And where have you come from? Where have you been training?
I'm from Greece. I came from Greece.
Oh, wow. So very different conditions.
Yes. Totally different. But okay. I tried my best. I always try to do my best, so I did my best. And I will continue doing my best.
And it probably feels like a very long time ago, but how was your swim this morning? Because the water probably felt a little bit chilly if you're used to Greek conditions.
In fact, it was fine for me. Swimming, it was fine. Bike, okay. I don't know, it was okay. It was okay. I think it was around 17, they told me, 16, something like this, the degrees. So it was okay, no problem. I knew that it would be that cold, or no, it wouldn't be 12 degrees, but it would be somewhere 15. So I had it in my mind, and I said, okay, it's for everybody, it's the same. So I'm gonna swim.
And how are you feeling in your body now? Do you have? I mean, are your legs aching? Are you feeling the burn?
I think they're gonna ache tomorrow. Today they are very, very hot. The blood is keep going up and down, so we don't feel something. I think tomorrow we're gonna have this soreness.
Well, great job. We'll let you carry on to the finish. Thank you very much for talking to us, and good luck with the rest of your race. So yeah, one of our athletes there just stopping to take on some nutrition, and sound like they've had a pretty good day out. And coming from Greece, we were saying they were probably training in warmer conditions, but actually a lot of people have been surprised by the conditions here today at Norseman. We've seen a much warmer swim than we'd usually have at that race, so 16, 17, almost 18 degrees in the water in some places, I think. And then we had quite a balmy start to the morning. It wasn't at all cold on the ferry this morning, which seems like a very long time ago, even to me. And then we had that amazing sunny patch where most of the athletes were out on the bike. So, by Norseman standards, quite good conditions. So we're just going to see if we can just grab race director Toriel and see how she's... no, she's running away again. As we said, she's really busy today. She's got a lot of logistics to look after, a lot of things to be mindful of. So we'll maybe see if we can get her in a minute. We have a race marshal on an excellent motorbike, but that's probably not of much interest to those of you watching for the sport. Just 1 minute and we'll hope to get the race director for a few words. But, just taking the amazing scenery we have here at 32.5 kilometres into the run. And this is a marathon run. But, you can see in the background, this is Gaustatoppen, you can see, which is where I was earlier in the race. You see where the kind of monument type pyramid thing is on the top of the mountain there. And from this point, the athletes that went on to do the black finish have had to climb that mountain. They've had to ascend, run, scramble, crawl, walk, cry, somehow get up there with their support teams. And I've got to say, I went to top using the railway which runs inside the mountain. And that in itself was a terrifying experience. So to actually run up there, I think, is really something quite special. And to do it at the end of an Ironman distance distance race. I mean, that's what people come here to Norseman for. That's what they're putting themselves through. Like, they don't come here for an easy race. They come here to get to the top of that mountain and to say, I've done Norseman. But we're now kind of a little bit later on in the race, so we're seeing the athletes. They're going to take the white t-shirt finish, so they're going to go off in the opposite direction this way, and they're going to kind of run down this road here and do some laps kind of around close to the race finish in Gausterblick, which is a town where I'd say most of our athletes are going to be partying tonight. They're going to be celebrating as much as you can after 226 kilometres of racing. So we're still just waiting to have a quick chat with our race director to see how the day is going, but I'm sure she'll be free in a minute. In the meantime, we've got some of the support teams and athletes coming through here. I'm wondering if they might have time for just a quick word. Hi, we're on Norseman Live. How is your day going? Do you have a few quick words for the camera?
Well, disappointed.
Yeah.
7 places, I think. So, but that means I'll be back next year if I win the lottery, which is difficult. But we'll try.
And how have you enjoyed the day to this point? How was your swim? How was your bike?
Perfect. All day. Excellent crew, excellent setup. Everything works really smooth. Best day this year.
Fantastic. Well, we hope to see you back next year. Thank you. Thank you. Ah, our lovely race director, Toriel, is back just for a quick interview with us. So we're at the kind of black-white T-shirt cut-off point, and we're now seeing the athletes going through that are going to go on and finish with the white T-shirt. How are they feeling? What's the atmosphere like here?
You know, it's a little bit tense just before, like from the, like, let's say 150, 40 or 50 going up, because they're all wondering which place they are. So everyone is here waiting for the athletes, and the athletes are wondering if they can finish at the top or they have to finish on the white finish. So it's a little bit tense, but no, it's good. And of course, some are disappointed if they can't finish at the Gaustertoppen, but most of them understand, and you know, they have done their best, and what more can you do? So it's okay, yeah.
And it's one of the things that makes Norseman the race it is, having these two finishes.
Yes, it is. And, you know, it's a battle. A lot of people, their goal is to finish at the top, of course, for the black T-shirt. But it's a long day for everyone, and I think just to finish here is amazing effort. And you will see later on now at the white finish, it's a lot of fun, and we will cheer them on. So it's all good.
And from this point, once they come to this checkpoint and go on to do the white T-shirt finish, they know they're going to finish the race. There's no more cut-off points, is that right?
No, no, they can take the time, and they will finish it. We have a sort of a cut-off, but it's quite. They have a lot of time for that, and it's no worries. Yeah.
And as one athlete said, he's going to walk and join me at the finish line for a beer. So great attitude to see.
Yeah, and that's just how we like it. So it's excellent.
Brilliant. Toriel, we're going to let you get on because I know you're super busy, but thank you for talking to us, and thanks for a great race. Thank you. Great. Well, we're going to take a break here at 32.5 kilometres, and we're going to head back to Philip and Doug in the studio and see how they're getting on. Back to you, Philip.
Thank you very much indeed. The wonderful Helen Webster. That may well be the last we hear from Helen Webster in this broadcast. She's been a fantastic reporter out there for Triathlon 220, feeding us back everything that happens live here. Found it fascinating and not a little fitting that the last athlete we spoke to today is Violeta Dialatara from Greece. Of course, the ancient Greeks gave us the classic that is Homer's The Odyssey. And what an Odyssey we've seen today from these athletes. It has been more of a Viking saga than a Greek classic. 5 of the top 6 athletes, 3 on the men's side, 3 on the women's side. 5 of them have had a connection to Norway, to the Norseman race itself. What is your big takeaway from this, Dog, as general manager, as a man who's been involved in this for years? What has stood out for you today?
First of all, I've been very impressed by Allan Hovda, who told me 2 days ago that I'm going to win.
Yep.
And I have a plan, and he showed us that that worked. But I'm even more impressed by Mette Pettersen, who did what she did, and the crushing of the course record and finishing 12th overall is just amazing. But all in all, just seeing the race as it has been unfolding from Eidfjord this morning, and just. We were expecting fantastic conditions, and in some way conditions have been fantastic because this is Norseman. We've had everything.
Yep.
Once again, that nature can throw at you.
Yep.
Even if the water was warm or pleasant this morning, they had their hailstorms and they had their headwind and really got to test themselves all day. Whether you were up front or way in the back, you got to test yourself.
Indeed, there are plenty of athletes who are still out on the course, and we'll be rounding up soon, but you can continue to watch the action from about the 32.5k point. Keep an eye out on that if one of your friends or your loved ones, your colleagues are still out there on the course. We leave the camera on. It's going to be on the Isklar Norseman. We thought it was going to be on the camera was going to be on the course there, but hopefully
we will move over and have a couple of short live sessions on Facebook as the evening progresses.
Yeah, so there's still plenty of athletes out on the course there, but we've seen pretty much everything that we needed to see decided today. It has been an absolutely incredible day of racing. We've seen the lead changing hands in the men's race several times until Alan Hovda made this race his own. We've seen Mette Pedersen Moe. She never really got shaky. She looked like she may have possibly had a chance to be caught there by Heini Hartikainen, but she ended up hanging on in the end. It has been an absolute privilege to watch every single one of these 238 athletes who dived into the water just before 5 o'clock this morning and who gave us such an entertaining day of racing, and indeed will continue to do so. My name is Philip O'Connor. This is Dag Oliver. Thank you very much indeed to the Spox family production team who brought us both here today and gave us the privilege of presenting this race for you. We're going to go off air now. We're going to show you a little bit of what happened. We're going to get into the production meeting for next year's race, going to start in about 5 minutes time. But before that, we're going to show you what happened on this tremendous day of racing, in this tremendous environment, in this race that was the Norseman 2018. Good morning and welcome to Norseman 2018, simply the most extreme triathlon on the face of the earth. My name is Philip O'Connor, this is Race General Manager Dag Oliver, and together with Spock's family and our crews out in the field, we'll be bringing you all the action throughout the day from this fantastic race. There we go, there goes the horn and the race is underway. Norseman 2018, a long, grueling and thrilling day of racing awaits as the swimmers take off there in the dawn in Eidfjord. There's an immense amount of energy gets expended over this 1 to 2 hours that they're going to spend in the water, and all of these marginal gains or these small changes that you can make could make a sort of a huge difference. That is Mette Pedersen Moe from Norway there.
Of course, and she is also an amazing swimmer.
I'm currently standing in T1 where we're waiting for those first swimmers to appear, and here they are just approaching the little beach here behind me. Lead swimmers out of the water. They might appreciate the scenery as they whiz by, but they'll be focused on, getting out there, getting the bike pacing done, getting some nutrition in them, making sure they're ready for the rest of the race ahead. It looks like they're going to be setting some pretty fast times today.
We were watching Harry Wiltshire there struggling with his lights just a little bit. Cost him a few seconds at the start of the cycling phase, but we can now see why he needs them.
This is a long day here in Norway. This is a long day in the mountains, and our best athletes, they're going to be thinking about, really pacing that and making sure that they know what they're doing for the day ahead.
This entire bike setup now, what we're looking at here, is going to be perfectly tailored to Harry Wiltshire's frame. So none of this is an accident. So the distance from his hip to the pedal has been carefully calibrated. The same thing for the position of his elbows, the same thing for his helmet. This is all to ensure the maximum power with minimum effort, because he's going to be on this bike now from 5 to 6 hours over 180 kilometers. That is number 23. That is our leader. Down to the short sleeves now, looking very confident indeed, looking like he's very much enjoying himself out there. The black t-shirt is the holy grail of the triathlon world, right? That means that you were among the 160 racers who finished the Norseman at the top, at Gaustetop.
the final section of the old road, so we'll soon get to Vøringsfossen and back onto the main road, and 2 more kilometers, and he will be able to have his first support if he needs it. The rule of thumb is basically you lose 1 degree Celsius for every 100 meters of elevation. Now he's about 200 meters from exiting the old road.
From the old road to the new road there for Harry. I can't see Eirik anywhere in front there. We could see the 2 riders within a few hundred meters of each other a little while ago, but again, it is early days yet. It is, there's still a lot of racing to go. She is on a bit of a gradient there. You could tell her legs are moving just slightly slower there. As she makes the switch, there goes one of her bottles, grabbing a bottle as they go along, getting himself streamlined as possible there, tucking the elbows in on the handlebars and building up a fair bit of pace there. That looks like a bit of a downhill stretch there. Watching our bike riders now undertaking 180 kilometers and then a 42.2 kilometer run to finish.
This is Dyranut. This is where you actually enter the plateau. It's the highest point on the bike course.
This is the highest point on the bike course, and we see Team Ravnan out there. I can tell you that Lars Christian Wold has also passed the Fjuranut in 4th place, 2 minutes and 34 seconds behind Eirik Ravnan. So it is starting to tighten up there at the front of the field. Lars Christian about 33 seconds behind Alan Hovden in 3rd. Harry Wiltshire there in 2nd place. Eirik Ravnan is no longer the leader of the Norseman 2018. The 2017 champion Lars Christian Wold is into the lead, and he is 34 seconds ahead of Alan Hovda. Alan Hovda is now in 2nd place. In 3rd place is the British racer Harry Wiltshire, who is 45 seconds behind. So major changes at the front of the race. Lars Christian Wold making the first right-hand turn as the leading racer here as well. As we look at the leader of the women's race, Mette Pedersen Moe of Norway. She is, let me see, about 13-14 minutes behind the leaders in the men's race. Right behind him there, just a few meters behind him, is Alan Hovda. The gap was cut from 34 seconds to 25 seconds, and Alan Hovda looks like he wants to cut it even more. Big smile there from Alan. Alan is exactly where he wants to be right now. He has the 2017 champion in sight. He has the 2018 championship in his sights.
Alan is saying it looks like it's going to be tight between us today.
Watching Lars Christian Wold doing this, because the speed he is going at now is almost superhuman. Up off the saddle, leaning forward, and you can see from his bib there as well, you can see how powerful that wind is, how quickly they're going there, and how important it is to take that aerodynamic position, because any resistance you provide is basically throwing energy away, right?
And passing.
And he just zips by him, and my word, the difference in speed there is absolutely huge.
And here he comes. This is Lars Christian Wold just coming into T2. And Alan Hovda with him, the 2 athletes coming in almost side by side. I mean, these are thrilling pictures we're seeing at this race here today. I mean, a real tight race, and they are literally seconds in and out of transition. The exciting thing now is to see, can he hold on to that course record of 9 hours, 52 minutes and 10 seconds, or will Alan Hovda challenge him and take his potentially 3rd title here at Norseman?
There we go, Line Marie Langset of Norway. You love to see that lovely balanced stride, no rolling the shoulders and the head or that kind of thing, conserving energy as she goes. That is Flora College, the British athlete. She is in 3rd place at the moment, so she's in the battle ahead of Julie Flakne Andersen. And Alan Hovda has now pulled away in the men's race and opened up a lead of 13 minutes and 35 seconds over Lars Christian Wold since they made the transition from the bike to the run. The finish line is in sight one way or another now. for Alan Hovda. An absolutely amazing performance over the first 10k as we look up at Gaustablik.
No, he's got a couple of 100 meters left until he turns on to Zombie Hill.
No, he's on his own. He doesn't have anybody on his shoulder or that kind of thing. So it's him against himself. It's him against the course. And he knows that at the top at Gaustablik, as if he can just keep this up by himself, he has this race won. This is the top of Gaustablik. This means that our first reporters have arrived up to the very top of the mountain. Alan Hovda will not be too far behind them.
Norseman 2018, and as you can see, the heavens have absolutely opened and we've got some true Norseman weather here on the top of this mountain.
Walking slowly, ever so slowly, the slowest he's gone all day, but it's enough, and Alan Hovda wins the Norseman for 2018. Kjell Magnus Antonsson has come up in second place there. Very, very close, under 10 minutes, 9 minutes and 46 seconds behind. There is Lars Christian Wold, last year's winner, the 2017 winner, coming across the line just a couple of minutes after the second place Kjell Magnus Antonsson. And then she will go up those stone steps to be crowned the queen of the mountain here today. It is Mette Pedersen Moe. Comes through a dominant performance, her hands over her face. Now she knows it's over. Now she knows the cold is there. Here she comes across the line on her own, no support staff there, and